This is exciting. Every year now, I think the community is getting geared up for a ton of different Juneteenth celebrations. We've been talking about Juneteenth throughout the week, but what King County Equity Now and Africatown have been doing for the last few years at Jimi Hendrix Park is resonating with communities. Tell us more about this collaboration and why this celebration is so important.
Definitely. Well, my history with Juneteenth in Seattle goes back with the late D. Charlene Williams, who brought it 40 years ago this year. And I worked with D. Charlene about 20 years, just supporting the Juneteenth and the Chamber of Commerce. So when it came time to, be able to continue that legacy, we definitely embraced it. In 2020, really kind of took it to another level. I think the largest Juneteenth in the Pacific Northwest to date so far. And then, great team, have continued to keep it alive, lift it up. And this year, King County Equity Now continues to move it forward with a focus on still policy, edutainment. Yes, we're going to have a good, time in the park. That therapy, of connecting and, the culture and the positivity and the music and the food and the people are also understanding that being about freedom. There's a lot of freedom that we still have to achieve, and there's policies to address that, and there's reparations. So it's still pay the fee and free the land and equity now. And so this year, again, it's a part of the Africatown Summer of Soul series, so been building that and excited to be able to just bring a series of events that, starting with the Black Wall Street on Memorial Day, honoring our Black Wall Streets, and now Juneteenth this year, good headliners, Talib Kweli and Kevin Ross, and so over 100 vendors, many other artists, performing speakers. Again, we'll be addressing the issues that are relevant to us getting a full freedom, and being able to have the resources and the restoration to express and enjoy a full freedom in here in the city and the society.
Yeah, so much of this work is foundational when we talk about keeping the reparations conversation going. Because I think a lot of folks are like, oh, yeah, I heard that before. No, it's still there. And so the intentionality to make sure that speakers are bringing forth some opportunities with regard to reparations. I know we've been hearing the buzz about the community reinvestment money, $200 million coming into community. But, there's a real history here where we have to keep our finger on the pulse, because we have seen monies that are intended for communities that have been the most harmed, like Black and Indigenous communities, go all over the place. And Black folks still have not ever been able to really receive any reparations for the enslavement period that this country experienced and put forth and really benefited so much from. So when you think about the intentionality that, some of these messages you've been pushing, what are some of the things you really want the audience to walk away with understanding from this Juneteenth celebration and this edutainment piece?
Great. That's a great question. So first thing is, reparations is a debt. It's not charity. That's the first thing. So if you do your research, you will understand that it's the wealth of Black people who were brought here and enslaved that really made the foundation of the wealth of now what is the wealthiest nation. And that wealth has been circulated, right? It was maldistributed, our labor capital, right? So investment in the, in a sense, American enterprise, all of the benefit of our ancestors' labor was distributed to someone else. And so when we bring it forward, and it didn't end with chattel slavery. I mean, you had Jim Crow, you had redlining. We just honored Black Wall Streets where, overt, terroristic acts are destroyed, and then policies and practices, from the government level, such as redlining, urban renewal, all the way up to, predatory land and capital projects right here in this state. There was a bill passed, HB 1918 in 2019, which acknowledged that our communities have been harmed by capital projects that, when you think about I-90, when it was brought into the community and eminent domain, people's houses and different things of that nature. And then, when improvements come and things of that that are happening, we don't see those who were harmed, benefited. So reparations is not just about the period of enslavement in this country, but many things that have happened, since. Even to this day, we have black homes across the country which are devalued. Another way of, again, maldistributing capital and equity from black families. We bring it up to the fact that black average median income went down from 2018 to 2021. Less than half, of white area median income, and in this state, so 41,000 to like 118,000, somewhere in that area. And that's not by accident. It's not because black people don't work hard or they don't want to get an educate, all these different narratives that are used to shield the fact that there have been very specific and systemic practices to deny us access to what is rightfully ours. So when we're talking about reparations, we have to, lift that up and say, where harm was done, repair is in order, right? A remedy is in order, and that's very basic. People can understand if I run into your car and it's clear that I was at fault, we see the damage on your car, and there's going to be a claim for me to repair and restore your car, your vehicle, make you whole. Also maybe your health and well-being. And so when we think about the circumstances and experiences that what's happening in our communities, a lot of that can be tied to our experience over time in this country.
Yeah, this is something that, we probably need a whole special because I think it's important for the conversation to always be at the forefront. And I'm so grateful that our community here has entities like Africatown and King County Equity Now who are really saying, no, we're going to constantly make sure that message is a part as we do the celebrations, as we have the vendors out. Let's not forget the message, because people will shine a light on it and then be like, oh, okay, enough, moving on to something else. And yet there's the issue still persists. So I just really appreciate being in community where we have that level of intentionality. And it's great to know that audience members who come out to Jimi Hendrix Park on Juneteenth will really be able to walk away with a foundational understanding, and maybe some of the ways that the state and other monies coming in can really begin to do some of that work. I think, again, when we think about $200 million, we still think, okay, drop in the bucket, but how do we make those investments more sustainable? And how can we ensure that initial investment coming in is something that's really hitting the areas that it needs to? So I'm glad that y'all are keeping that message alive. I'll be there, I'll be, rocking with y'all and celebrating. But also, too, there's maybe some folks here who, are wondering, with the litany of different events, why this one, right? Like, yes, there's amazing headliners, and I think that's one reason, but also the education is another. Let's talk about those vendors, because we've been able to see, a proliferation of businesses booming because of these opportunities like Juneteenth. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, and it was intentional. Back in 2020, everything was shut down. A lot of people lost economic opportunities. So we, King County Equity Now, Africatown, and many different, the core, kind of organized, really saw the importance of creating opportunity for commerce specifically, and a lot of people during that summer we're very grateful for the opportunities 2020, 2021, when everything was shut down, to come out and start a side business, supplement their income, at that time. And so for us, it's about the future, but it's also what can we facilitate right now that empowers someone. And a transaction, that's empowering, right? For a business, that's one of the most important things, is an actual sale, So that continuing that, and really molding that and institutionalizing that with this Summer of Soul series, again, supports our businesses, our economics, provides, a lot of platform for our artists and performers. It's just about providing that space. With Africatown, the focus is around creating space for Black beauty, Black brilliance, and the best of our community to be able to grow and flourish. So being able to highlight some of that, there's so much, and that's good. But just being able to highlight some of that is very important. And then again, the educational aspect. When you think about King County Equity Now, and when that was formed, the focus was around land, access to capital development in terms of equity, but also control over the resources that are supposed to impact our lives. So, a lot of people did respond, with different initiatives and sources of funds that was in response to what was happening in 2020. But as time goes on, we see it start getting diverted to help, addressing every issue that may exist within the society, which is reparations, a very specific issue. The Black condition and what is owed to Black is very specific, right? And so for a specific harm, there should be a specific remedy. And so we definitely have to make sure that we're watching, even as we get wins, that what is allocated, because we have an unprecedented amount of resources, money, funding from the federal government being allocated in the country, over $3 trillion. That's never been, and a lot of it is tagged with equity, but are we making sure that our communities, our businesses, and organizations that are rooted in the community, led by community, accountable community, are being prioritized in that? And if we're not there, again, someone sees a resource and they go and try to say, can we use it for this or that? So we need to make sure it gets where it's supposed to go.
Yeah. The intent is actually felt by community members. That's one of the things that I really appreciated, because King County Equity Now was putting it out there to say, look, we need to make sure that material conditions are elevated for Black families so that they actually feel these investments coming into community. That's the way that you can begin to measure it a little bit. But this is going to be fun. Monday, June 19th. Y'all got bouncy houses for the kids, a bunch of different food vendors, product vendors coming out. Make sure you look right there. Let the folks know the details, how they show up, and where they need to be participating in this amazing celebration and educational event.
Absolutely. This Monday, June 19th, Juneteenth, we're at Jimi Hendrix Park, headlining Talib Kweli and Kevin Ross. Over 100 vendors in the park, activities for children, families, speakers, be there also to get connected and tap in where how do we move our community towards a full freedom to be our best selves. How do we remove the barriers to that, and how do we make sure that the resources are present for that? So this is a place, go to all of them, and then Monday, let's see you let's connect at Jimi Hendrix Park. Tap in for more information. You can go to Summer of Soul Series, summerofsoulseries.org. Africatown Land Trust, King County Equity Now. To get connected, follow King County Equity Now, Instagram, Africatown SCA, Instagram, and you can be in the know of everything that's going to be popping off on Monday.
It's gonna be popping off for sure.
Bring the sun with you.
Yeah, bring the sun with you. We're gonna be
bring that positive energy. Bring that positive energy.
Absolutely. Wyking, thank you so much for making time to be with me today and to share some of the deep intentionality that goes into planning this event. And thank you for being a part of the planning. And I'm excited to be there. Looking forward to it as always.
I gotta say shout out to the team at King County Equity Now, at Africatown, everybody behind the scenes. If you want to volunteer, that's what we didn't say. You can tap in day of to just help out. Many hands make the light. Make the work light,
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. Looking forward to seeing you. Y'all.